Well, hey everybody, it's Curtis Lee. Welcome to the first episode of Appalachia After Dark. This is going to be music, monsters, and mayhem. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to start off with a song, so you guys hang on. Hold on to your hats. I'm going to play a song here. Start off the night. Now some news.
A recent uptick in reported Bigfoot sightings in Ohio is refueling the long-running debate.
A man who's been hunting Bigfoot for nearly 20 years shared this photo of a large footprint found about an hour south of Cleveland. People in that area say they saw unidentified figures standing 8 feet tall in the woods along the Mahoning River. Those spectators claim the figures were hairy, brown or black, took long strides and made unique sounds. Now, despite decades of searching, no clear photo of Bigfoot has ever been taken. Some believe the alleged March sightings could have been a herd of Yeti on the move due to unusually warm weather.
Well, this footage is from 2018. I think they call it the Squeaky footage. The guy used a Squeaky Toy to catch the lure the creature. So watch this area right down here in the red circle. I don't know. It's interesting. I think the most interesting thing about it is right at the end. It looks like it just disappears into the ground. Watch that down there in the bottom right of the circle. Oh, it's like he just vanishes. Strange. In the shadowed drowned hollows of the Appalachian Mountains, a creature lurks. And it's a hulking, hairy beast that walks on 2 legs. And in Virginia, it has a name, the Wood Booger. To most of the world, it's a monster, a boogeyman from a campfire tale. But is that the whole story? What if the legend says less about a monster and more about our own changing relationship with the wild? So this is the story of how a local legend became a monster, and how a small Virginia town is now celebrating its true spirit. Long before Virginia was drawn on a map, these forests were the ancestral homelands of people like the Monacan. For them, the world was alive with spiritual meaning and a profound respect for the land. Their oral traditions include the belief that their ancestors are still part of them through the land itself. While there is no specific documented Monacan legend of a Bigfoot-like creature, their worldview didn't separate the natural from the supernatural, and the forests were home to beings and spirits that demanded respect. This deeply ingrained reverence for the wild forms the historical backdrop upon which a very different story would eventually be built. When European settlers pushed into the Appalachian foothills, they brought their own folklore with them, including the boogeyman. The booger is a regional variant of the British bogey, a shapeless goblin used to frighten children. And in the mountains, booger became a catch-all for any strange, unseen, or frightening thing. So how did it become the wood booger? Well, according to local folklore, the name became popular in the late 19th century. And parents would warn their kids not to wander off, saying the wood booger will get you. And with that, the narrative shifted. The ancient spiritual reverence for a presence in the forest was being replaced by fear of a monster. For decades, the wood booger was just a piece of regional folklore. That all changed in the 21st century. An amateur video caught the attention of the show Finding Bigfoot, and in 2011 the team arrived in Norton, Virginia to investigate. And they held a town hall meeting and the floodgates opened. The room filled with people eager to share their personal encounters. They described the consistent creature, huge, hairy, and bipedal, with an overpowering stench. The episode put Norton's wood booger on the national map. And Norton, a community looking for life beyond its reliance on the declining coal industry, it saw an opportunity. In 2014, the city council officially designated Flag Rock Recreation Area a Wood Booger Sanctuary. And a year later, a large statue of the Wood Booger was erected, cementing its status as a local icon, a source of civic pride, and a draw for tourism. The story of the Wood Booger shows how a legend can evolve. What legends are told where you live? Share the tales from your part of the world in comments below. We'd all love to hear them. So what is the Wood Booger? Is it a flesh and blood primate, a folk memory, or a spirit of the woods? Maybe the true story isn't about proving what it is, but understanding what it represents. The legend's journey mirrors our own changing relationship with the wild. At first there was a deep spiritual understanding of the land. And then as the wilderness was settled, that respect often curdled into fear, and the unknown became monsters. But now the story is changing again. In Norton, the Wood Booger is no longer just a monster to be feared. And by making it a sanctioned protector of the land, the community has perhaps unintentionally created a new chapter for the legend. The creature is once again a guardian. Maybe the point of the Wood Booger isn't for us to find a monster in the woods. Maybe it's to find part of ourselves that still looks into the forest with wonder and respect for the great mysterious stories the land still has to tell. That's something to think about. You guys have a good night. Thanks for listening. This guy's a trap. So he's going to hang out here for a minute. And at the end of it, I'm not going to give it away. You'll see what he does. My attempt at humor. Wait for it. There you go. That was worth it, wasn't it? Fart jokes.
Crush a cold to a diamond, eyes forever shining. Your beauty alone inspire a nigga to rhyming. Thinking of the better things in life. Thinking of how I could persuade you to become my wife. Hand in hand as we floating over tropical sands. You my lady, I'm your man, so let's further advance to the next scene. Me sleeping next to you resting. You're the personification of all God's blessings. Coming to me in just one physical being. One physical dream that I want to redeem. Yo, voluptuous, sweet caramel, brown honeydew. Satin skin smooth to the touch, what a nigga do. So sensual, her smile like a chemical extract of perfection. Rare mineral, she smell like a happy birthday on a Thursday. Quiet time, love, sleeping, awake early. Honey brown with the long black hair, teasing me with a kiss and a stare. Slight touch and you taking me there. So fine and it just ain't fair. So beautiful and so damn rare. She's angelic and energetic, using sex as a weapon. I reckon that I confess in the body is just a blessing from God down to earth. She needs to be in the church to prove we didn't spawn from fish, but God's work hurts to see her glow, cause her body beholds secrets untold, value like platinum and gold. But she is the key to open my mind and see the energy that radiates from the gates of heavenly bliss. I reminisce over touching a kiss while you fucking the bitch. I go to make blood of my miss. Never scandalous, it's unanimous. After you were handling lights off and candlelit rooms are glamorous. So I call you love sexual, you look edible. Parallel, snuggle up, close, intellectual. In a rendezvous, wish you a rap hairdo. No makeup, a jeans, shorts, open toe shoe. I wanna hold you, mold your soul, I behold you, know you. Better than myself, never own you, but keep you. Never leave you, I beseech you. God's gift to man is you wearing a see-through. Riding sea-dools in Atlantic Ocean, causing commotion. Lay you down, going through the motions. Keep the skin soft, lotions got me coasting. Down pretty round brown thighs again, a slow lady brown with the long black hair. Teasing me with the kiss and the stare. Slight touch and you're taking me there. So fine and it just ain't fair. So beautiful and so damn rare. Yo. Look at this agreeable, delightful, delectable, unforgettable, so sweet she may be edible. She needs a pedestal to step out of heaven. You ready, boo? Never hypothetical, you facts. Fuck theatrical, baby girl, because you actual. Physically, your chemistry is so mathematical. How to use academics to define your spirit. You lifted my limits, your name off on my tongue is a lyric. She's a compilation of my mind's representation of a representative, representing an excellent revelation of time and dedication. Never impatient. She she know the deal. Her stuff to me, so I can see her heavenly ways and heavenly gaze. And plus I know her that she hasn't asked for days. Okay. So as we lay, I reminisce on the day that we met. Please God, never let me forget.
The soundtrack for this show will be in the playlist. In 1928, a woman named Eleanor was admitted to an asylum just like this one. Her diagnosis? Religious excitement. Her final years were spent behind these walls, and some people say she never really left. These decaying halls and peeling paint aren't just ruins. They're monuments to forgotten suffering. They were built with the promise of healing, but what they often delivered was pure horror. This brutal history has fueled generations of paranormal claims. Stories of shadow figures and disembodied voices echo in the emptiness. But are these hauntings just campfire stories, or are they the last desperate testimonies of the forgotten? Today, we're digging into the historical records and walking these same corridors to ask a critical question. What really happens when history and hauntings collide? Believe it or not, these institutions didn't start as places of terror. Many were born from a genuinely progressive idea in the 19th century called moral treatment. Visionaries like Dr. Thomas Kirkbride believed that beautiful architecture and serene landscapes could actually help heal the mind. The Kirkbride plan called for sprawling, ornate buildings with plenty of sunlight and fresh air designed to be sanctuaries. But that compassionate vision quickly crumbled. Chronic underfunding and an overwhelming flood of patients turned these sanctuaries into grim warehouses. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, for instance, was designed for 250 people, but was crammed with over 2,400 by the 1950s. Overcrowding led to unsanitary conditions, violence, and the swift return to the very cruelty moral treatment was meant to fix. Patients were subjected to hours and restraints, and neglect became the norm. And the dream of healing had become a nightmare of confinement. Every corner of these buildings tells a story. What were supposed to be restful patient wards became scenes of absolute chaos. And the sheer number of people confined to small spaces bred desperation and violence. But the history gets even darker when you step into the treatment rooms. This is where controversial procedures were performed in the name of a cure. Ice baths, electroshock therapy, and most infamously, the lobotomy were common. Overwhelmed and desperate, doctors saw these brutal interventions as a quick way to manage unruly patients. And at places like Trans-Allegheny, a staggering number of these procedures were performed, with one doctor, Walter Freeman, conducting hundreds of lobotomies across West Virginia. These surgeries didn't just sever parts of the brain. They severed a person's identity, their very soul. The goal was to silence the illness, but all too often it silenced the person entirely. And for those who died within these walls, whether from disease, neglect, or the treatments themselves, dignity was a rare luxury. Their stories often ended in unmarked graves, or in some cases their bodies were sent to medical schools for study, a final anonymous contribution. When you hear these historical truths, the paranormal claims start to make a chilling kind of sense. If you believe the stories of the forgotten deserve to be heard, take a moment to subscribe for more investigations into the shadows of our history. This is where the line between fact and folklore begins to blur. The history is documented, but what about the hauntings? At Penhurst State School, a place notorious for its horrific patient abuse, investigators and visitors report hearing disembodied voices and feeling the touch of an unseen hand. At Trans-Allegheny, people on ghost tours claim to see shadow figures and hear unexplained screams in the halls where so much suffering took place. One of the most well-known spirits is said to be a little girl named Lily, who was supposedly born inside the Trans-Allegheny Asylum and died there from pneumonia, never knowing the outside world. Visitors leave toys in what is believed to be her room and have sworn they've seen them move on their own. So what do you think? When a strange voice is recorded on an EVP recorder in an old treatment room, is it just radio interference? Or is it an echo of a person who was once subjected to horrors we can barely imagine? These paranormal accounts, whether you believe them or not, have become one of the only ways for stories of these forgotten patients to be told. The buildings may be decaying, but the memories of what happened here is very much alive. The history of these asylums is a profound tragedy. They stand as a solemn reminder of a time when society chose to lock away its most vulnerable citizens. The question of whether they are haunted by spirits is something you have to answer for yourself. But there's no question that they are haunted by their history. The pain, the suffering, and the injustice that occurred within these walls have left an undeniable stain. And perhaps the ghostly whispers and fleeting apparitions aren't just a legend, but a legacy. The final testimony of thousands of forgotten souls still asking us to remember them. And that's definitely something to think about. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for listening. I had a hard time getting through some of these. Pay close attention to this. Watch this thing, it flies by me. I think this is what they would call a plasma entity. Here it comes. One more time. Third time's the charm. That thing was moving fast. I've still got no idea what it is. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments. You ever seen anything like it? This is the Trans-Allegheny lunatic asylum over in Weston, West Virginia, back in 2018, with Chasing Shadows Investigations, CSI. They have a group run by my friend Sarita. This is her coming up here. So what we're watching for here is down at the end of the hall. You can see the light shining through the window, and something kept stepping out in the hall and breaking it. And on one of the other videos, something turns the flashlight on. I've got sitting down at the end of the hall. It's a scary place. If you haven't had a chance, hit that subscribe button and get the bell so you can get all the notifications. Appreciate you watching.
I like when it rains. You told me to go to the light. And what it's like. couldn't think of what to say, and all that I can do is stop and think about the days when all we used to dream about was meeting at the school, and we would go on home and start right back again. I think I like when it rains. Call up some friends, we'll have some fun. Oh Lord, I wish things were the same nowadays. We'll go back to your place when we're done. And I couldn't find the words, I couldn't think of what to say, and all that I can do is stop and think about the days when all we used to dream about was meeting at the school, and we would go on home and start right back again. Kick it, Will.
The irony is sticking up the cut with a knife this week. It turns out that when you spend years shouting about the deep state, the end game isn't actually dismantling it. It's just remodeling it with gold trim, a massive defense budget, and your own people sitting in the swivel chairs. And if you stepped away from the news cycle to watch the kickoff of the World Cup, here's your alternative, highly ironic wrap-up of what went down in Washington this week. Remember when the intelligence community was the ultimate villain? Well, after facing massive pushback for trying to install loyalist ally Bill Pulte as acting director of national intelligence, the White House has pivoted. The new nominee to head up the nation's top intelligence office, well, that's Jay Clayton, the former head of the SEC and a veteran Wall Street regulator. Because nothing says destroying the entrenched federal bureaucracy quite like putting a corporate lawyer in charge of the nation's literal spies. And meanwhile, current FBI Director Kash Patel is staying busy by slapping the Atlantic with a casual $250 million defamation lawsuit. And the bureaucratic swamp isn't gone, it just traded the trench coat for a tailored power suit. For a crowd that built its brand on being anti-interventionist and anti-military industrial complex, things have been incredibly tense on the global stage. And after a chaotic week of exchanging fire with Iran near the Strait of Hormuz, which had the UN panicking about global food security and skyrocketing oil prices, the administration played a classic game of whiplash diplomacy. The White House abruptly announced it was pausing scheduled missile strikes, claiming the U.S. and Iran are on the verge of signing a peace agreement. And Iran's foreign ministry immediately chimed in with a collective, "Wait, what? We haven't agreed to anything." And it's the ultimate insider statecraft move, using social media to manifest a foreign policy victory while the actual Pentagon keeps the naval blockades firmly in place. If you want to know who the real establishment is now, look at the map. This week, the administration locked in a massive $70 billion funding bill for ICE and CBP to secure immigration crackdowns for the rest of the term. But the real kicker is the push for a looming $350 billion reconciliation bill. And the administration is demanding Congress bypass the traditional Senate filibuster to fund high-tech military hardware like a Golden Dome missile defense system and a Golden Fleet of Trump-class battleships. When old guard Republicans like Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins are the ones publicly complaining that the executive branch is trying to ram through massive military spending via sneaky budget loopholes, well, the transformation into the ultimate federal juggernaut is officially complete. Finally, because no executive takeover is complete without a bit of aesthetic dominance, the $14.2 million makeover of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool was officially finished this week. Complete with a brand new nano bubbler system, the historic landmark now features a bright glowing blue pool. While the administration claims it's getting rave reviews, locals and historians are looking at the vibrant turquoise water and wondering if the deep state's final form is, well, just turning Washington, D.C. into a high-end Mar-a-Lago resort. And the takeaway? The deep state didn't die, it just learned how to post on True Social, buy battleships, and look great next to a blue neon swimming pool. Now, you want to talk about the absolute pinnacle of the deep state roleplay? The New York Times bombshell about J.D. Vance and the secret E-Files meetings is a chef's kiss to this entire timeline. And if you had told the 2016 anti-establishment crowd that the literal White House Situation Room would be being used to strategize how to manage the Jeffrey Epstein files to protect the president, they would have called it a shadow government conspiracy. And cut to now. And according to Maggie Haber and Jonathan Swan's new book, Regime Change, that is exactly what happened. And on July 17th, Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly presided over a secret meeting in the Situation Room. Now, he wasn't there to discuss military logistics or national security threats. Instead, Vance gathered the ultimate inner circle, including Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, FBI Director Kash Patel, and top legal advisors, to figure out a PR and legal containment strategy for the Epstein fallout. They are literally utilizing the most secure room in the free world for premium elite damage control. Times excerpt reveals that Vance, acting like a true operative, floated a wildly unorthodox public relations stunt. He suggested the White House enlist Tucker Carlson to go into federal prison and interview Ghislaine Maxwell. And the goal? Get Maxwell to explicitly state on camera that Trump was never involved in any of Epstein's wrongdoing. Susie Wiles and the rest of the team reportedly shot it down, with Wiles later complaining to colleagues that the vice president had proven himself to be a major conspiracy theorist. And it gets weirder. In his push for maximum transparency to clear the administration's name, Vance actually urged the team to get ahead of the story by addressing a bizarre, uncorroborated decade-old rumor regarding the president and a young woman's anatomy. Wiles had to swiftly shut it down. One official in the room later told reporters it was completely surreal to be standing in the Situation Room debating that specific graphic accusation. And the leak shows a total breakdown behind the scenes. FBI figures like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were reportedly melting down over how then Attorney General Pam Bondi handled the media fallout, with Bongino explicitly warning that the Epstein affair was on track to become President Trump's Iran-Contra. And meanwhile, the Times reports that Trump himself was completely stonewalling, snapping at anyone who brought up the files, and even shouting at the Wall Street Journal's editor-in-chief in an attempt to kill a damaging story about his past relationship with Epstein. The deep state irony is that for years the rallying cry was release the files and expose the global elites. Now that they are the ones holding the keys to the archive, The files are suddenly a highly sensitive managed piece of statecraft discussed in hushed tones under heavy military guard. Now House Oversight Democrats are aggressively demanding Vance, Wiles, and Patel testify before Congress about the meeting. The swamp didn't get drained, it just got reclassified top secret.
You don't think it's a problem that no one's ever found the tapes?
What
like,
tapes?
This is mind-blowing to me.
What tapes?
For sure he blackmailed.
How do you know that?
Because other people who have seen cameras have said this.
Who? I'm not aware of that. Like, if you know something I don't know, I would love to learn from you. Who said that?
Pam Bondi said it. That's who. Well, looks like aliens are real. Check this out.
I think we have about 4 minutes before they call votes to open it up for a quick round of questions. So if you guys can just, let's start with Real America's Voice. Reports that said that there are perhaps 4 different alien species raised. How many species are you aware of?
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal, bipedal type life to, you know, what I would consider as like sentient plasmoid life. But there are several that the U.S. government is aware of. Okay.
During the course of your investigation, it's been surfaced to the public that there's been a program by the name of Immaculate Constellation. During the course of your investigation, did you recognize that the infrastructure to support such a program for exfiltration of data from federal systems would exist?
Yeah, I can't comment on the content of that program. I've discussed on my interview in Judicial Watch that was a National Security Council program, and the secrecy started in 1954 through an Eisenhower executive order that created that infrastructure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Grush, Kristen Fisher with the Endless Void. When you look at where we are right now in this moment for the disclosure movement, what's at stake here?
I think the sovereign contract between the citizenry and its government. I think the institutional rot that the lack of transparency in this issue is possibly going to cause an unattainable socioeconomic condition if the government is not transparent, akin to certain other. I don't want to say the Epstein files. That's a dirty word, but we could have that kind of scandal if we're not transparent on this issue.
And do you have any advice for people who are new to the UFO topic, the UAP topic, who just really don't know where to begin? There's just so much misinformation out there. What is your advice to them?
I would go watch James Fox's documentaries. I like the Disclosure's a great movie. That's a good primer. So, and I also, there is a declassified 1971 Australian formerly classified secret assessment that a couple years ago was put in the Australian National Archives. I encourage people to read page 7 through 16, and that was the nuclear branch chief of the Australian government discussing the U.S. cover-up and the involvement of the CIA back in the 70s. And that's actually a little-known document that is publicly available.
Can you explain right now what the roadblocks are? What is preventing lawmakers, and if lawmakers want to take a step at this, from visiting locations that have been critical to reverse engineering or other things, that the knowledge is there, but the ability to go and see them is not?
I'll take a stab at that. If Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, if Congress says we're going to go to Area 51, everybody says, go to Area 51, Burchett. All I'm going to get there is a good dadgum T-shirt, all right? The moving van's already going to be there. The problem you have is that these things have been moved into private entities, so that they don't have a FOIA. I could FOIA Ford Motor Company, get her be, but doesn't mean they're gonna do anything. That's why they moved it out of the federal governments, and that's part of the roadblocks. Other roadblocks we've seen, we tried to get a committee. We've had staff members try to block us when we first started this thing with that first hearing. That Grush said that there's biological entities. They tried to move it into remember that Russian balloon that flew over? They tried to move it into that. And what was it? Chinese, excuse me, they're all together, I don't care. No, I know they're not, but they tried to move it into that.
So I'm not sure what to think. J.D. Vance said he thought aliens were demons, and this might be the only thing he and I actually ever would agree on.
We're going to Area 51. We're going out to New Mexico. We're going to sort of get to the bottom of this.
We're waiting for it. We saw aliens.gov. We saw aliens.gov.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion.
That is like the only thing he and I probably agree on. He and I are cousins. We got a distant ancestor in common. Are you right in front of me? That should focus. There's no reason that camera shouldn't focus. I'm going to stop this real quick. So this is in Roby Cemetery in, I can't remember if it's in West Virginia or Maryland. It's off the C&O Canal, and the river winds around, and you kind of go in one state and out of the other. But something was standing in front of my camera. It seemed like something was standing in front of my camera because it should have focused on the tombstone, that REM pod in front of me. So watch what happens. I think this is some kind of a entity like what that guy in the previous video was describing. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Are you standing like right in front of me? If you are, can you move away, please? Can you move either to the left? Can you move either to the left or the right? Thank you. Right when I said it. Yeah, it moved right when I asked. Now, I was about to scrap hours of footage from an old ghost hunt. After editing all night, the entire thing felt like a bust. We were at an old abandoned house deep in the New River Gorge, but all I had was nothing. Just the sounds of the wind, creaking floorboards, and the static from my gear. And I was ready to delete the whole file, until I happened to glance at the auto caption. Video IQ's own AI was transcribing voices I couldn't hear. You got to see what it found. So, like I said, we were investigating an abandoned house in the New River Gorge. The place has a heavy atmosphere, and you just get the feeling that a lot has happened there. We spent hours inside asking questions into the void, listening for any sign that we weren't alone. And by the end of the night, it felt like a total failure. I didn't hear a single thing, and my audio recorder seemed to agree. And it turns out the real investigation didn't start until years later. I had captured several full sentences that were direct responses to me. I just couldn't hear them at the time. This is the first strange thing I found. I'm walking through what looked like the old kitchen, and I have a spirit box running. You can hear it scanning through radio frequencies, that constant rhythmic static. Now, I was the only one talking, and the spirit box never broke its rhythm. If a voice came through the box, you'd hear a break in that static pattern. Now listen closely.
So they're not talking to me. They're not talking to me. They just hurt me. I gotta go. I
can't. And you hear my footsteps in the spirit box. I'm gonna stop that real quick. That first line, I can see the doors are still open. Apparently that's part of a prayer or a pledge associated with the AMA church. But I didn't know that until I looked it up. But that's it, right? That's all I heard in the moment. But the captions you just saw in that clip were generated by vidIQ clipping software, and it picked up on something I missed entirely, transcribing the phrases, "I can see the doors are still open," and "can't stop the feeling tonight." This wasn't a burst from the spirit box. The software is captioning speech that is barely audible to our ears, something buried deep beneath the other sounds. And I've replayed this audio countless times, and I can still barely make out the voice it's hearing. Yet the software consistently identifies it as speech. And my first thought? It had to be a glitch. Or maybe the AI just misinterpreted some background noise. And this sent me down a rabbit hole trying to understand how this technology actually works. There's a phenomenon called auditory pareidoia, and it's the tendency for our brains to hear patterns like voices and random noises. And it turns out AI can experience its own version of this. Speech recognition systems are trained on massive libraries of sound to find human speech, and sometimes they get it wrong. They can hallucinate words from the sound of wind, static, or machinery. And in noisy environments, the error rates for these systems can be surprisingly high. So one random word popping up isn't just possible, it's a known technological flaw. And if it had just been one word, I would have dismissed it as cool, but explainable. But these were full phrases. and that couldn't be just a glitch. This also wasn't the first time I'd seen something like this. At an investigation at St. Albans Sanatorium, my friend Crystal asked a question. In response, a voice came through loud and clear saying, "Nope, we're just drunk." I was so shocked that I immediately repeated it out loud. And it wasn't until I uploaded the footage to YouTube that I got chills. I turned on the captions, and in direct response to her question, the AI transcribed the clear voice saying, "Nope, we're just drunk." And right after that, it showed me repeating it word for word. The odds of an AI not only capturing that voice, but also showing me repeating it verbatim, well, it starts to feel like more than just a glitch. But this is the clip that I just can't explain away. This comes from a disembodied voice I captured years ago at the Wayside Inn in Middletown, Virginia. And the inn was used as a hospital during the Civil War and is said to be haunted by the ghost of a soldier from the Irish Brigade. I was recently editing the old video and decided to run an experiment. In the clip, I'm explaining to the spirits that I'm going to run the spirit box to make it easier for them to talk. Right after I say that, a voice comes through that I could always clearly hear. It says, "You're doing that, ain't you?" And as an experiment, I ran this clip through my editing software's auto captioning feature using a standard English setting. Nothing. The AI didn't recognize any speech. But then I remembered the story of the Irish soldier. And on a hunch, I changed the AI's language setting from US English to UK English and ran it again. This time it picked it up perfectly, transcribing the disembodied voice as, "You're doing that, ain't you?" A direct, intelligent response to what I was doing, transcribed only when the AI was set to a dialect that matched the spirit's likely origin. That's a coincidence that is incredibly hard to just ignore.
So if you like to talk, we'll be able to hear you through this box.
This is a spooky old place. So what do you think is going on here? Is this just a series of bizarre glitches in a case of AI pareidoia? Or is it possible that this technology is picking up on something that our own senses can't? I really want to hear your theories on this, so let me know down in the comments. But for years, ghost hunters have relied on our own senses and what we can see and hear. And I started this journey thinking AI had simply caught something my ears had missed. But it became so much more than that. It went from transcribing inaudible whispers to perfectly capturing a clear disembodied voice and even confirming my own repetition of it. And the final piece of evidence, where the AI could only identify the voice when set to the correct historical dialect, presents a chilling possibility. And we're left with two choices. Either this is a chain of technological glitches so specific and context-aware that defy probability, or we're on the verge of a breakthrough. And you tell me, are these just a ghost in the machine, or are we about to find a whole new way to communicate with whatever's out there? Thank y'all for listening, and have a good night. Now song.
What if I never met you last night? What if I did? What if I didn't? What if we never got drunk that day? Talking about shit I'll never forget. Yeah, those jeans you were wearing, the way you were swearing. No girl, we had nothing to lose. What if I never fell in love last May? What if I did? What if I didn't? But we lived, and we lied, and we laughed, and we cried, and we learned to survive, and we stopped asking why. I don't need no religion, darling, you're enough to believe in. All this questioning, everything, let it all go. Who are we? What would be? All that I know is you're enough
I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight.
What if you never looked at me that way? What if you did? What if you didn't? What if you took the job and moved away? Forgot about us, forgot about love. But we got through the seasons. You stayed for a reason. Your love keeps on preaching to me. What if you never looked at me that way? What if we stop asking why? I don't need no religion, darling. You're enough to believe in. All this questioning, everything, let it all go. Who are we? What would be? All that I know is you're enough to believe in.
Always believe in yourself.
When I'm at the gates, you're waiting. Whenever my soul needs saving, you're the only one I'm praying to. I don't need no religion. I don't need no. You're enough to believe in. All this questioning, everything, let it all go. Who are we? What would be? All that I know is you're enough to believe in. You're enough to believe in.
Well, that was the show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to finish off here with some spooky music from Halloween. Don't forget to tune in Saturday night at 11 o'clock for the Gen X Files. That's our live chat show. Like I said, always believe in yourself. And don't forget to believe in Santa Claus. Well, it was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. All the music for this is in the playlist, and once this is live, it'll have everything you need. And if you don't want to go back and watch through the whole video, you can just pick the songs you want to listen to. We'll do this again next week. I'll have some different music and some different stories. Thanks for watching Appalachia After Dark. If you stayed all the way in, thanks for watching.